Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'll be discussing some insights from a book that I recently read titled Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. My name's Connor and I'm a second year dental student, and I wanted to start this series of book club videos for two reasons. One being so that I can share these thoughts and insights that I'm gaining from these books with you, so that hopefully you can take this information and apply it in your life and find some benefit or value there. And the second reason being, I want to hold myself more accountable so that I can be reading more consistently throughout this year and throughout my life, so that I can continue to learn and improve in various aspects of my life through the information I learn from reading these books. The book that I'll be discussing today is called Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy, and in it he describes 21 ways that we can reduce procrastination and improve productivity. And overall, I really liked this book. It's got some really helpful tips and ideas for being more productive. But I think the thing that I liked most about this book is that it isn't long or drawn out. It's very straightforward and to the point, with about 112 pages of actual reading material. Whereas many authors in the productivity genre would take concepts or ideas related to this and write a book that is 2 or 3 times as long as Eat That Frog is. The title of this book is strange at first, but upon reading this book, it makes a lot of sense. So the idea behind the title of Eat That Frog is, imagine if you woke up every day knowing that you had to eat a bunch of frogs. The idea is that you would start your day and not delay eating these frogs that you know at some point you're eventually going to have to eat. And he also says that you should start with the biggest, ugliest, grossest looking frog, because after that, it can't get any worse. And these frogs are the tasks that we need to accomplish, whether it's for school or work or in our personal life. So we should not delay starting on and finishing the tasks that we know we need to do. And we should start with the biggest, most important, most intimidating task, because after that, the tasks that we're faced with won't be any more difficult to accomplish. There are 3 main things that I learned and I wanted to share from this book. The first one being the 80-20 rule. And I know that there are a lot of different interpretations of the 80-20 rule or using the 80-20 ratio, but in this instance, the 80-20 rule is that 80% of our results come from 20% of our efforts or our tasks. And about a third of the tips or ideas in this book are focused on identifying and prioritizing those 20% of tasks or efforts so that we can accomplish those 80% of our results. By pinpointing or identifying these key tasks, we can then understand which tasks we can electively procrastinate or not do altogether. He gives the example of a lady who attended one of his conferences or seminars, and she said that she had made a list of all of the tasks or responsibilities that she had in her career, and she identified 17 items that she was directly responsible for. And she identified the 3 key tasks that were responsible for the majority of her contribution to the company. She met with her boss and explained that if she could either eliminate or delegate the other 14 tasks, that she felt that she could double her contribution to the company. And she said that if she doubled her contribution to the company, she would double the salary. And her boss agreed. He helped her to delegate or eliminate these 14 tasks so that she could spend all day, every day, focusing on her 3 key tasks. And she was able to double the contribution that she was making to the company, and as he agreed, her boss doubled the pay that she was receiving. So that's just one example that is given in this book of how the 80-20 rule can really help increase our productivity. I know this might seem hard to do as a student when you have assignments that you have to accomplish and exams that you have to take, and these things aren't necessarily optional. But something that can be helpful in applying the 80-20 rule is identifying the key activities that account for the majority of your performance or your scores in your classes. So whether it's doing the assigned reading or spending time in the TA lab getting help or teaching a friend these concepts, whatever is most productive and beneficial to your score, focus more time on those activities and either eliminate or reduce the time that you allot to the other activities that aren't as impactful on your performance in school. A great way of prioritizing your tasks is by using the ABCDE method. An A item is something that is a must-do item on your to-do list. Completing it or leaving it undone will have serious positive or negative consequences. I like to think of it as something will either be awesome if you get it done or awful if it remains incomplete. If you have more than one A task, you can rank these using an A1, A2, A3, and so on ranking. B tasks are those things that should be done but aren't as severe in priority as the A tasks. If they do get completed, that's beneficial. If they don't get done that day, then that's just bad. Maybe somebody gets upset with you if your B task isn't completed, but the severity of the consequences just isn't the same as for those A tasks. The rule is never work on a B task when you still have an A task on your to-do list. C tasks are those things that have no real consequences whether or not they get done. I like to think of these things as the cherry on top. So maybe it's getting some personal work done if you are caught up or ahead in your schoolwork or the tasks in your job. D tasks are those tasks that can be delegated. If it's something that doesn't require your immediate attention and can be passed off to someone else, that delegation should occur so that you have more time to focus on your A tasks. Finally, there's E tasks, which can be eliminated altogether and it won't make any difference whatsoever. By using the ABCDE method of prioritizing your tasks, this will help you to stay focused on those big frogs and not get distracted by the frog eggs or the tadpoles. The second takeaway from this book is that you will never reach work-life balance. That is something that you will never perfect. And when I read this, it blew my mind because everyone is striving for that perfect work-life balance. Especially, that's something that I've been really trying to improve upon, being in dental school, having 2 kids, having a wife who is expecting our 3rd child, and starting this YouTube channel. But the explanation of why we can never have this perfect work-life balance made a lot of sense. Brian Tracy explains it like this. He gives the analogy of a tightrope walker. And for me, I'll switch it to a slackliner because slacklining is something that I've done quite a bit of. So when you're first starting out learning to walk on a slack line, you have to work really hard and you're always focusing on keeping your balance. And the more that you do it, the better you get at balancing. It becomes easier, it becomes more natural. But just because it becomes easier doesn't mean you don't have to work at maintaining your balance. And that's exactly how our work-life balance is. It's not something that we can just forget about or we reach this point where magically it's balanced. It's something that we constantly have to work at. And the more that we work at it, the easier it becomes to maintain that balance, and we might not have to consciously think about it, but it is something that will constantly require work and attention. The third thing that was one of my major takeaways from reading this book was the following quote: "Get it 80% right and then correct it later. Run it up the flagpole and see if anyone salutes. Don't expect perfection the first time or even the first few times. Be prepared to fail over and over again." In other words, done is better than perfect. Perfectionism is just an excuse to not do or to not even start something. There will always be things that can be improved upon, whether it's something in the process or in the finished product. So if it's a project, a paper, a presentation, stop procrastinating and get to work. Completing the task is the best thing that you can possibly do. The more that you do, the better you'll get and the more that you'll learn. Ali Abdaal, whose channel is packed full of productivity tips and tricks, regularly shares the parable of the pottery class. So there is a pottery class instructor who wants to perform an experiment. He has half of the class make one pot every day for 30 days, and the other half of the class makes one pot in that entire 30-day period. And without fail, all of the best pots in the class were made by the students in the group that made one pot every single day. And that's how it is in life. The more that you do, even if it isn't perfect, the more that you'll learn about the process and the end product so that you can improve, you can become faster and more efficient and improve the quality than just working on the same thing over and over and over again for an extended period of time. Those are just 3 of the things that I learned from reading this book. Like I said, it is called Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. So if this video is interesting to you, go ahead and check out that book. And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future book club videos or any of my other content, which is focused on dental school and dental student life. And also follow me on Instagram so that you can see what books I'm reading and what I'm up to on a daily basis. Thanks. We'll see you in the next video.